Alright, hello everyone. Here we are back for another guide here. You can see where we left off last time. And all my chests have been unlocked. I'm going to jump back in here and take a look at some more of these holes just to get some more chests going. Start getting a little bit closer to closing this tour out as well. So, brand new course here. Most important thing is getting in the fairway. Here you can see wind straight in the face. Probably going to require pretty close to a perfect ball. So I'm going to try to land in here with maybe just a little bit of curl. Try not to get too carried away with the power either, because I'd like to get into the fairway. That's the most important thing, is just making sure that you reach the green in two here. So it's got to stay in the fairway. So sure enough it does. And you'll see that I use the Titan ball, give myself that little bit of extra range. Try to only switch up from the quarterback when I feel that I kind of have to. Now, technically, you don't have to. You can see, can't tell if my opponent's going to do this or not. It's going to put you back a lot farther. Not to mention, when you end up going full power like that, it is, somewhat hard to get perfect ball as well. Let's just see how this looks out. Let's see if it clips that rough. Nope, it looks good. So it's just going to kind of keep him a little bit farther, and probably going to need the wind, or at least not wind straight in the face. And sure enough, there's the wind. So that will probably make it okay, and he'll still be able to get to the green here. So now what I'm going to try to do is just a little bit of power. And I'm thinking in the neighborhood of 3-ish rings here. Right in here, a little bit of power. Did catch the great ball. I expect that's going to make it shoot out well to the right, but we'll have our eagle, which is good enough. Definitely want to make sure that you avoid the mistakes foremost. And you can kind of see with what my opponent is up against, as I mentioned, probably going to require just a little bit more than you'd typically like to do. Is he really just going to lay up? I'm surprised by that. I'd have probably just tried to blast it and just try to keep it up there, but avoiding the rough can also be a good smart thing to do. If you can avoid the rough, chances are you can give yourself a good look at the pitch to still be able to make it anyway. But I think especially close to full power would have been enough to get there. So you're probably better off when you do have enough club to just take advantage. So here you can see, and straight to the side, ooh, and that's a little bit of, that's going to be a hard win. So you can see 8 sideways. It's going to be a substantial ring play. Fire 5 floor 4. I don't know how accurate it is, but it's probably going to be like a 3 or 4 ring adjustment here. That looks a little bit light if you ask me. I'm not exactly sure, but just does seem just a little bit not enough. But sure enough, right into the hole. Basically just aimed it, he didn't even really set it up or anything. It was just kind of eyeball and put it in. So we'll have to try to win this one on the shootout. We do have the extra range, which is going to help me out. It's always good to have that a little bit of extra distance. I'm going to try to land somewhere around here. So I'm assuming I may need to go into a little bit of power here. So I did catch my perfect ball. And it's shooting out a little bit more to the right than I expected. But still a pretty solid attempt, especially given the wind. With these early clubs, it's a little bit tougher to hit this shot. It's definitely going to be hard with a quarterback as well. So it looks like that one's going to clip the bunker. And we'll be able to pick up the win there. So let's go get that chest started. Reset my bag. Keep going here. So just going to focus on getting this ball in play. That's all I do on this hole. So somewhere right in here, about half power or so. As long as it's 300, 310, we should be good. Within range. This guy has a bit more trophies than me. Plus in the pro division. Expert division, I mean. He plays a decent amount of rookie tournaments. Typically what I'll do is I'll stay in, if you're early going, but the sooner you can get out of the rookie, the better. So if it was me, typically I'd probably get my account in the pro and then just play the pro tournaments like you see me working through now as soon as I can get into pro. And that's definitely a really good strategy. Let's see what we can do here. A little bit of a tailwind. Typically might start to crank up the backspin just a little bit more in these situations. See, I'm up close to max, so typically play very close to a max adjustment. A little bit more than 3 rings, I'm thinking, somewhere right in here. just not enough. So I needed just a little bit more on that. The tailwind here should make, you see my opponent went into the rough, it should make him easily probably able to reach the green, I would imagine. I have to see what clubs he has, but I would imagine, oh, Nirvana 5 especially. So just off the edge there. Let's jump in, get to the shootout, and see what we got. We do have a little bit of a disadvantage here with the ball. You can see he's using a katana, just a little bit extra side spin, which could come into play. I'll have to just see. You know, there's a very broad range of holes that we can get in this tour. Sometimes you need the power ball. As you can see, the last shootout that we got, power was a good thing. For this one, necessarily, you don't really need the power. A lot of times I'll go for a rough bump up here. It's a little bit easier to execute than this fairway shot. But more times than not, I'll just try to play my opponent. So depending how close they hit the ball, you know, may dictate what I do for a shot. So overall, that's not too bad. It's going to be hard to beat. Trying to remember what the spin is here. I don't really remember. I may need a little bit of topspin if I go this way. So about one topspin there, you can see. We're able to put it well within range. Just needed to get our perfect ball. As you can see, not too bad. I believe, you know, I used to do maybe about one backspin on a driver. So I was just trying to use that logic and saying, well, you know, it's usually about a two spin difference. So if a driver's one backspin, the same a club down would be, you know, maybe about one top spin in that case. If you were hitting a long iron off that spot, you might need to go maybe 3 top spin. So it's typically about kind of a two spin jump up or so difference. You can see even without the limited guide, you know, you just kind of always repeat kind of the same spin. Even if you don't have the guide, it really doesn't matter. It's just all about hitting your marks more so than anything. So that's one of the best concepts to learn, especially in the early going, about how to play the game. You know, you just kind of got to, you know, have that course knowledge as opposed to, you know, needing that ball guide. So this is an interesting account. Guy doesn't even play tournaments. And it's a pretty early account too. Maybe just started this week, possibly. So biggest thing here, I want to make sure that I get it in the fairway, and having a little bit more range does make this whole play a little bit easier. So I may go with a Titan ball just to make sure that I have that range. It does make my life a lot easier. So you can see this is very close to what we had for the tournament on this hole. So there you can see, just get it into the fairway, and having that little bit of extra range does help you for the approach. You know, it does make it that much more easy to get to the green. See, opponent here did get a tailwind, so it is favorable. He'll still be able to get there. But with my extra range, it does make it just a little bit more holeable as well. So you may be able to, you know, get an albatross, especially on smaller winds. That could come into play. But it is just a little bit tougher without the ball guide. But let's see what we can get. So you can see that my opponent will use a sniper, you know, which could provide me an advantage on the shootout, but it could also, because, you know, I do have that extra backspin in the event that I need it. So what I'm thinking is somewhere around here with the land zone, which is just a little bit into power. Just a little bit over 2 rings here. Caught a great ball anyway, so it's not really going to matter. It's definitely going to shoot out towards the left. Or it'll hit the fairway funny and go, yep, well over here. Because that's like 3 yards left, maybe even 4. It should have never got over that far. Which means that it probably took like a kind of a bounce off kind of the side hill a little bit. So we'll have to just see what we get for a shootout here, because there's going to be quite a few holes that I do have advantage over the sniper club. So that's one of the main reasons that you won't see me put it on until I can get up that backspin high enough. This isn't necessarily one of them. Opponent should be able to pull this shot off with a sniper. So there we have it, perfect ball. See if we can get this distance control down. And sure enough, we were able to. So it's almost going to take a hole in one to be able to beat that. So as you can see, filling up this home screen here with some nice chess. Hole number 1 here. This is a little bit trickier hole. Into the wind, I'm thinking probably of going up to this. I really need that side spin on this, so I may go Titan. It's a little bit more favorable to have. Now, I wasn't able to get the perfect ball here. So let's see if I can get this to hold on and just keep in the fairway. Looks like I could. And that should get me to long iron range, where I should have a look at getting to the green there. Just want to try to, more than anything, just avoid the problems. Keep it in play. Pretty good driver here. You can see opponent using gyro ball. What was that? Not sure what that was. It looked like he was like short hitting it intentionally, and then it ended up hooking. So we're down close to maybe mid club here. I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 2-ish per ring for my play. So if I'm playing 2 per ring here, with the extra wind effect, maybe go almost 5 rings here. It's coming up just a little bit short, but it would have shot over towards the left anyway. So you can see I used about 3 backspin there. That's typically, I was trying to stay off because I was hitting kind of up a hill. So I did want to go just a little bit less on my spin. So let's see what my opponent can do here. What I would probably try to do is just try to stay up kind of intentionally short of this bunker, as opposed to trying to get too aggressive. It's much better to play this the third shot from the fairway than it is trying to get too aggressive here and rolling down towards the bunker or something. Way late on the timing. So here you can see we're able to avoid the shootout, which is a good thing. It just gets you moving that much faster through the tours, unless of course my opponent does hold this out, which in theory could happen. Man, this guy must spend a lot. So he has no tournaments that he's even played in, but he has a pretty good bag for not getting any cards via tournament. Still getting that Spitfire up and decent Nirvana. Not to mention, these gyro balls, stuff like that. This isn't the type of ball that I would use all the time, especially in Tour 7, especially for Tour 7. So here we are, going to start clearing out some chests now. Rocket, Viper, didn't need that one, jeez. Could that be any worse than that? We've passed the halfway point for this tour. Tough hole here. We got this one a couple times last stream. And none of my opponents were able to get eagle on this one. So it does just kind of go to show, about how important that can be. Now, this is a little bit more aggressive line. I would imagine with a half decent play, he should be able to get his eagle. Let's just see how this plays out. It's pretty aggressive and it clips the tree. So it should give us a good possibility to potentially win this one outright again. So with that in mind, we're going to kind of stick to our game. There you go, Guardian quarterback again, and we'll switch to the Titan, knowing that, if we keep this in play, we should be able to give ourselves the win here. So all we're going to do is bend it around here. Get it up towards the end of the fairway. And then we'll just take our Guardian like we did the other day. That's a pretty good wind for my Guardian too. That's, I usually like to see winds like that are pointing towards the left. It really lets me kind of curl around the trees a little bit more. So right around 2 on the backspin, and just try to land right about up in here is all I'm going to try to do. I should be able to use just a little bit more curl. So all we want to do is just get it somewhere into the green and make our eagle and, hopefully avoid the shootout, getting us through these matches that much quicker. And, same with our pin chest. If you need to play 8 matches to get a pin chest, any avoiding of the shootout that you can do is just kind of a time saver. So there we are, roll it in, pick up the eagle, get the chest, which we'll just gem again. Keep rolling with our momentum. I'm actually surprised that I haven't got up to a platinum. I feel like it's been a while. I haven't seen one in quite some time. So there was some sniper cards in there. So let's see where that's up to. 122 now. Trying to get that up to a 7. Will give me some extra ball guide. And probably just got to open it in about 4 more chests at this point. So 4 more chests. We should be able to get that. Koh Hong Hole 7. Main thing I try to do on this one is keep it in play. From the second tee box, we should be good. So just a little bit of power. You know, I do end up kind of on the short end of woods if you get it up there too far. So you do kind of get yourself in between clubs. I may actually be very close to the min club there on my next shot. It's going to be pretty close. You know, you don't really need a very impressive drive on this hole. Lots of rookie tournaments here as well. You know, I've said it a bunch of times, you know, I highly recommend you getting out of rookie as soon as possible. As you can see, you know, I did that pretty much as soon as I could. It's definitely the way to go. Really opens up your options, especially club-wise. You know, the more cards that you can get towards your sniper, towards your rock, towards your QB, these all are important clubs down the line. Especially until you get some of those later clubs. So here you can see we are very close to the min line here. Went to play about 4 on the backspin, somewhere right in here. Might play just a little bit of wind effect as well, kind of like that. Other than that, I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 2-ish per ring. Probably going to go about 4.5. A little bit of an overplay. I'm not quite at min club and I'm pulling up towards mid club. So other than that, it's just kind of mastering that wind effect. So let's see how this comes in. It looks like it's checking up, man. So I was just a little bit aggressive with the amount of backspin. I thought it would be okay. I tried to keep it right at 4. Maybe should have went to maybe 3.7. See, I'm going to be kind of up against it a little bit. I'm playing against a sniper 9. Very tough opponent. Very out clubbed. Not necessarily a deal breaker, as you can see. You know, especially from the shootouts that you've seen me play thus far. It's all about execution. I've already put, you know, 2 of them within a yard out of, what did we play, 3? So you know, with that being said, it's not a deal breaker. Wow, opponent comes up just a little bit short. He might need perfect ball there to make it to the shootout. So let's see if he can pull that off. Ideally, you know, you'd want to avoid an opponent like this in shootout, because he's going to be a tough guy to beat. Sniper 9's a very tough club to beat. So sure enough, there's perfect. Whoop, but it bounces off the pin. I don't know why did he bring it in that hot? I don't understand why he didn't just. I mean, if you can't stop the ball, you know, you're going to have to play the fairway. You know, I'm one to say, you know, put it on the green when you can, but if it looks like the ball's going to roll through, definitely don't do it in that point. I thought it was probably going to slam the pin and it was going to be okay, but look at that. So another 20 more snipers, which makes the magic number 3 more chests. So we just need it in 3 more chests. And that will come in handy for the next tournament, most doubtedly. Definitely we'll be able to use that one. Santa Ventura 5, eh? So this is this can be a little bit of a trickier hole. Not one of my favorites, to say the least. Oh wow, so this guy's only played pro. So he skipped rookie altogether, which ain't nothing wrong with that. You can see his driver, even with 1,000 some games, barely has more cards than me. I'm really getting unlucky on this account with my extra mile. It's still sitting at a 4. Not I just haven't been able to get the cards for it for whatever reason. So I'm not sure what my driver is on my opponent. You can see use a Titan ball. I do recommend that for this hole, having that range for the second shot, especially when your opponent's out there in perfect position. That's going to be the quality play for what I should be doing. So we are going to switch our bags up here. And ideally, I'll try to land relatively centered to this. 3-ish rings or so. Not too worried about the power thing. So you'll see that I'll just kind of play it soft. Go for perfect ball. I think wind effect will kind of drift it towards the left, so you do want to avoid it clipping that left rough. And keeping it short isn't necessarily the worst thing, because you can see that it kind of stays kind of short, and you have a little bit more work around the trees this way. So it looks like he's going with a Sniper 7. So Sniper 7's really no different than the one that I have. It's a little bit limited on its backspin. And depending on the hole that we get, I may have a pretty decent advantage over a Sniper 7 in shootout. But there are a fair number of holes in this sequence which don't require needing more than 4. But this is one of the only tours that's the case. And it wasn't always like this. It used to have Vineyard Acres in here. And, that's definitely a course that has, you can use the spin for sure. So here what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use any curl or anything. I'll probably play about 2 rings here. And you can see with where I'm aiming. Yep, caught a great ball, so I would imagine it's probably going to drift my ball off just a little bit too much. But it looks like I didn't have the quite enough land zone. I try to get that third hop right on the front, and you can see it kind of still hit right into that fairway, kind of the top of the fairway. I needed to hit kind of up more at the fringe there. So opponents have relatively straight wind. It does give them kind of just a little bit of an easier pitch here. So let's see if he can knock this in. Definitely needs perfect ball. And sure enough, he's able to still pop that in for eagle. So we will have to play the shootout. And as I mentioned, there's a decent chance that I have an advantage, just because I'll have more backspin, which can come in handy on the shootouts. But this is the one tour where, it doesn't necessarily. Now there is going to be a few holes that they could give us that having the extra backspin is going to be a distinct advantage, but not always. And this is probably one. Having the backspin on this can come in handy, but also 4 backspin could be enough as well. So you can see with what I'm trying to do, land about here. It's going to require a little bit of an over adjustment here. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 3-ish rings. Perfect ball. And it looks like it just rolls down that hill. Man, so I needed just a little bit more on the ring adjustment. And ever since they added this tour in, it's kind of frustrating because you know, the sniper here can actually be a relatively good, a good club for this shot. So let's see if he's able to pull this off. It looked a little aggressive on the ring adjustment. We'll have to just see how this rolls out. So sure enough, as I mentioned, you know, I'm not able to pull that one off, but I could have. I just needed to execute the shot just a little bit better. You can see it's not the worst club to have us, and that's one of the things that I don't like about that new tour that they brought in, is it does kind of lower my percentage. You know, with having the Guardian against sniper hole argument, because it basically, they introduced, you know, two new holes into this tour and took away 2 holes that backspin used to be a premium, and then they added ones that don't necessarily. So hole 8 and hole 8 and hole 2 on that course, you really do get, and that was hole 2 that we just played. You know, the sniper isn't necessarily, you know, you don't really need the backspin to hit those shots. I do have an advantage with Guardian on 4 because, you know, you can hit a very premium shot with about 6 backspin on that one, which that sniper wouldn't have been able to do. But you can see that I really needed to execute my shot there, and I would have needed to go just a little bit more adjustment in order to match that sniper shot, which I still could have done. You know, I could have still beat that sniper shot. It just required just a little bit better ring adjustment there, and it seems like I was just a little bit light on the adjustment. I should have gone an extra half ring. So here's a tough hole, especially with no curl. It goes double for no curl. So a couple things I can do here. I can try to force the issue and try to win this outright. Not the easiest thing to do, but if I pull it off, you know, I can essentially win with this shot. So sometimes I may try to force the issue. So what I'm going is maybe about 7 rings here. And as I mentioned, you know, I'm essentially just, you know, playing for, if I pull this off and this goes in the fairway, which it looks like it's going to just roll through, but had that stayed, you know, it was essentially a game-winning shot with my opponent in trouble there. So that's why you can see me still going for the Titan. However, there's still a good chance, you know, wind dependent, that I can still get up by the green anyway, and it was still a game-winning shot. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. As you can see, I'm much farther than my opponent. So I should be able to get up pretty close to the green here. And that's more or less what I'm going to try to do, is just try to, you know, essentially bring this up. I'm thinking about 3 rings here for the adjustment. With just a little bit of curl, a little bit of power, kind of like this. So you can see we get up here close to the fringe, and there's going to be a very high percentage chance that I'm going to make it from there, especially if it's a small wind. So let's just see. And it looks like it is a small wind. So there's a very good chance that, you know, I basically won the hole with that drive still, just by almost pulling it off. And essentially what I was doing was essentially, you know, somewhere around the neighborhood of about 6 to 7 rings there, plus playing off the left of my bullseye on that tee shot. So if I'm aiming to land on the left of my bullseye, I'll probably went 6 to 7 rings, maybe about 6 rings to the right of that. Relatively easy shot to, at least get, as you can see, I was very close to pulling it off perfectly. So here you can see very small wind, and you can also see how small the bullseye is. So with that being said, I can probably great ball this into the hole as well. So you see with the way that I'm playing it, just playing it inside hole here, and probably don't even need perfect ball to be able to get this one to go down. So sure enough, there it is. Unfortunately, I had that one kind of slightly miscue, but all in all, didn't play too bad. Just kind of slow and steady, as you can see, and that's all you really need. And now you can see that we got our pin chest taken care of here. It looks like I didn't get anything that I wanted, but I did get some hornets there, so I'll take that. If I can get that up to a 4, that'll be a nice thing. So you can see that it's getting very close to a 4. We will be using that from time to time, especially for accuracy purposes. You can see up there around 90 accuracy. That's going to be our premium short iron when we don't need backspin. So it's going to be a very tournament specific club that I'll probably pull out from time to time. And, we'll want to be getting that up, and we'll also want to be getting that sniper up. I'm getting into the 1,500 trophies. I need to get kind of up to 2,270 to, 2,300-ish to where I can start to see that in the shop. So if you want to see where we are now, 273 out of 294. But we're going to just keep, grinding, plugging away at this. And, I believe we're about 60% done that tour, maybe just a little bit. We would have been 60% done, but I lost that one shootout. And if I would have been able to, that's a difference of 34 trophies that I would have had, or 36 trophies. So you can see, kind of where we're at, getting to the point where, tour 8 will be next. And, still rolling with this bag, just kind of plugging away the best that we can. We get up against, this is a kind of a tour that I just kind of want to be done with. I'd like for them to get rid of that the new Koh Hong course, because it actually does kind of put me at a disadvantage. The more shootouts that they let sniper with no backspin or 2 backspin or top spin be able to pull off shots very easily, the harder that it is for me to barrel through a tour. So in 8, there's very few times that you can do that. You really need that, 6, 7 backspin from time to time. And that's why Guardian's so effective. So when they remove things like Vineyard Acres, and then they put it in with, holes that can be, the shootouts can be won with no spin, that just kind of throws a curveball in where Tour 7 used to be highly dominated. It's almost 50-50 right now. Okay, now I still wouldn't bring sniper because I want to make sure that I'm prepared for every shootout. Okay, there's matches that we were playing there that if we get certain wins, my opponent's going to have no chance with a sniper. So that's the main reason that you'll see that I'll still use the Guardian. For instance, the Santa Ventura hole that we didn't play, which is the one that is the island bounce with the backstop right after the pin. If you were to have that shot with only 4 backspins, certain, tailwinds, you might as well just give me the win, because there's no way you're going to beat me. If I'm using a Guardian and I crank my backspin up to, 6.5, 7 bars on a top, nothing's going to beat that shot. And I want to avoid that scenario from happening. As you can see, the last couple days, I haven't even got to that hole. We did play hole 4 yesterday. We did of that new course. And, if I would have got that hole, I would also have an advantage, because I could hit, there's a 6.5 backspin shot. You could see it. I did it in the tournament guides last time. Right at about 6.5 topspin, or 6.5 backspin is like perfect for that new hole. it essentially gets you within a yard every time. You might even hole in one it. So, you know, it is a very good advantage to have. But there's other holes that essentially, it's almost like a 50-50 split. Like the one that I ended up losing to, you could see my opponent could use no spin and essentially pull off the shot. So anytime that they introduce holes like that, guys with ball guide, they're going to have advantage, slight advantage, because I still could have hit, you know, I still can get that inside a yard. I was doing it on the tournament, all last tournament. That's how I grinded out so many wins, was being able to put the ball close there. But, you know, it all comes down to, at the end of the day, shot execution, wind effect. And you can see I was just a little bit off, you know, half a ring. It was enough to cost me the shootout there. So these are the things that you want to think about. You know, you just want to kind of keep grinding away. And as I mentioned, you know, in my mind, I still have a huge advantage with the Guardian over Sniper. It's because I never am going to have a hole where I'm unprepared. I'm always going to be able to hit a shootout shot. There's going to be sniper shots that if certain wind come up, you just can't hit a sniper shot because you're not going to have enough backspin to stop it. So with that being said, you know, I'm going to still stick with Guardian and highly recommend that you guys do. But you'll also see kind of times like today, you know, we didn't play a single hole where Guardian was a clear favorite. You know, there was a couple that, you know, it really doesn't matter, where you're kind of indifferent, but we didn't actually get to an actual hole where the sniper was exposed, which, you know, it's going to be hit or miss. You just don't know if it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and, you know, best to always be prepared. So do keep that tip in mind. You know, good luck with your progress, and be on the lookout for, you know, future content for tour play, as well as the Skyline tournament coming up next week. So good luck, guys, and take care.